Welcome everybody to the Global Green Recovery Collaborative's End of Project Seminar. So I'm just going to introduce the scene, and then I'm going to hand over to the team from the GGRC to share their journey. So for those people who don't know me, my name is Shelley Balderson. I'm the Conservation Leadership Networks Manager for the Cambridge Masters in Conservation Leadership. And I'm lucky enough to curate the Alumni Network, or UCLAN as they'll be known from now on. So welcome all to this End of Project seminar, which highlights the third and final project to reach completion from the fund's pilot year. The Sansom Conservation Leadership Fund, which is also known as the SCLA Fund, has been established with thanks to the generosity of Robert Sansom to support high impact conservation projects undertaken by our alumni only. And I'm not going to go into detail on the fund itself due to time, but I will drop the web link in the chat to enable you to find out more and see the other projects it supports. So just a little note on housekeeping. So we've got a 30-minute presentation followed by about 20 minutes of Q&A. Please note this is being recorded so that we can share it with our alumni network who aren't able to attend. Therefore, if you ask a question, you will be featured on that recording. Please drop any questions into the chat if you prefer. Please also feel free to use the chat function at any time to ask questions or add comments. You are welcome to unmute yourself to ask questions during the Q&A, but we ask you to please remain muted for the duration of the talk, just so that everyone can hear the presenters. So before I hand over to the GGRC, I just wanted to note that my role as grant manager is a real privilege, as each of the 9 projects we've funded so far have been so diverse. However, I'm always personally delighted when the UCLAN take this opportunity to use this unique fund to apply for projects that allow them to collaborate with each other. It's not an essential criteria for applying for the fund, but it does allow for a great opportunity to further strengthen the individual bonds between our global network of conservation leaders. And the GGRC is the largest SCLA Fund collaboration to date, with 9 alumni listed on the original application and many more involved. You'll hear from many of them over the next 30 minutes. But those of the team that are present, can you just wave your hand or raise your hand just to give people, allow the chance for people to see the brilliant individuals who've driven this forward. So the GGRC really are a global team with huge aspirations. And I now hand over to Ravi and Rosalind to share their journey over the last 3 years.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Shelley. And I'm the co-founder of the GGRC, and I'm going to go ahead and share my slides. And then I will be handing it over to Ravi Prasad, who is also one of our co-founders, to take the lead on sharing our first segment. But one thing I just wanted to note for everybody before we get started is I'm really excited because this is a big global team project, and we have a team presentation. So we will be passing it off to different members of our team to contribute to the different segments of the presentation. And even those who are not part of the presentation will be joining in and answering your questions during the Q&A. So we're really excited, and please, we invite you to think actively about your questions because we can't wait to talk with you about this project. And with that, I'm going to share my screen. And just a reminder to our team members to just tell me next slide when you're ready for the next slide. Ravi, over to you.
Thank you so much. So our first part of the presentation is an introduction and our motivation for starting this whole collaborative. And we are going to give this opportunity to Noah, who is from Israel, and she will take us through that. Thank you so much.
Hello, my name is Noah. I'm from the 2016-17 cohort, and I'm very happy to be here. Next slide, please. So we started the Green Recovery Collaborative while being locked up in the COVID era in 2020. The lockdown was really a challenge, and we were sitting together and having our Zoom meetings and trying to think. We were very worried about the narrative of going back to normal messages, which is what really brought us to this place from the beginning. So we thought what we could do, and the green recovery narrative was just in this initial stage, and we thought, what is our interpretation of green recovery? And we thought about it as the big design, about repairing our world and really recovering from environmental damage to become healthy and resilient, and about also transforming our lives and interactions with each other and the environment for biodiversity. Next slide, please. Why we chose global? Because global, even biodiversity its biodiversity loss is fed from root causes that are caused from universal problems, and we all have shared responsibility for our planet, even if it's a small place. It's all interconnected. Why green recovery? We wanted it to be just and equitable for everyone. It was about unpacking global to local scale and its interactions again, and adaptivity, the feeding back processes from the ground, and we focused on grassroots and local movements. And why collaborative? It's about reimagining our future together, addressing and enhancing system thinking through collaborations and thought leadership, and being really synergetic. Thank you. So we started to think about a website, and we started to develop it with a few volunteers, and it was on our spare time sitting in our beds at lockdown. But then come September 2021, and we got the Sansom grant, and with this we could really try to take it up to the next step and the next level and develop a true website that has put a lot of thought into it. And I will now pass it on to Janet to further explain. Thank you, Janet.
Hi, I'm Janet, and I'm from South Africa. And yeah, so this is the Global Green Recovery Team. The GGRC was founded by a global team of members from the University of Cambridge's Conservation Leadership Alumni Network, bringing with them a diverse set of experience and skills. And okay, next slide, Ross. We're supported by a team of project facilitators and advisors, also coming from different parts of the world. And finally, thanks, Ross, a crew of website designers and developers that have been extremely valuable in the construction of this, this platform. Thank you. Okay, so we had the vision. Our vision is to have a collaboration that generates transformative action for a healthy planet where people and biodiversity thrive. And our mission for this GGRC is to have a virtual platform where we inspire and engage people in collaboration, learning from one another, and working collectively for a green recovery from COVID-19 and beyond. Okay, now I'd like to introduce my teammate, Ravi, and the GGRC co-lead, who will explain a bit more on the building of the GGRC community. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Janet. I come from Fiji, and I'm part of the 2016-2017 cohort. And right now I work for the UN Peace Building Fund in South Sudan. If we could sum up our entire impact in a very relatable term, I would say we built community. And in the next slide, I will show you one example. We formed a membership team of 70 people from 50 countries, some of which are UCLAN members, and the others work in different communities, in different government departments, with the UN, with CSOs. In the next slide, I will show that we actually went to the next level and formed formal partnerships with initiatives from all over the world. Some of these initiatives, they did not have an online platform, and we became that platform for them. And some of these initiatives are typical textbook conservation initiatives, while the others are initiatives and organizations that were contributing to green recovery, but they did not actually know that they were contributing to green recovery. We have with us one initiative called ICAD, International Center for Advocates Against Discrimination. And myself coming from the peace building background and partnering with ICAD and seeing that they're working for rights and dignity of people displaced by climate change and seeing how they're actually contributing towards green recovery was very meaningful for us. And Erin Thomas is our focal point from ICAD. And she unfortunately cannot speak because of background noise, but she will message some words in the chat. Thank you so much, Erin. In the next slide, I will also show that we went ahead and we, together with our initiatives and our members, hosted 4 global events. And we tried to spotlight topics in green recovery that are not that popular. So these topics were not the poster boys and poster girls of green recovery, but we tried to give these topics a platform. For example, new economies, climate mobility, and we also thought about green recovery in the context of a world in crisis. And we also provided a training. And all these events had at least 50 people attending from all parts of the world. In the next slide, I will also mention very briefly, or show, this is just one photo from one of the events. We got very motivated seeing all these people, some of them who we have never met. And the fact that they looked at our website from different parts of the world and chose to attend the events showed that we were able to reach out to a lot of people. In the next slide, I would show that we also did something innovative. We analyzed 24 trending news articles. And this analysis is very strategic and systematic, meaning that we tried to see what were some topics in green recovery that were not represented, or if they were represented, how could it be aligned and linked to other topics in green recovery? So if you go to the news section, these are tips and tricks and things that you could do with your organizations or as an individual to contribute to green recovery. And in the next slide, I would also show that we took individual initiatives and wrote blogs on topics that were very dear to us. And this showed that our members and people who chose to be part of members really wanted to contribute towards knowledge management in green recovery. I would give this opportunity now to Rose, our co-lead, and she will share lessons and reflections on our process. And as a co-lead, working with Rose for me personally was a mentorship opportunity where I personally learned so much about leadership. Thank you so much.
Well, I think a key lesson or reflection is that we learned from each other along the way, because as a team, I think what we discovered is that we all bring different strengths to the table, different areas where we need to learn more. And also, as you'll see in just a moment, this was a master class in real time for all of us on how to work together across the globe. And we hope that this will actually provide lessons for UCLAN, because I think everybody who's been a part of this project sees so much value in UCLAN coming together to make a real difference for our planet. And this was such a great lesson in how to do that and how to work with some of the challenges. And so we really wanted to emphasize not just the really great outcomes that Ravi just outlined, but also the process and how important that was. So I'm just going to briefly go through a set of what we saw as some key lessons and reflections. One is global community development is hard. It's really, really hard. And I think that sometimes we were really grateful that we got the Sansom grant funding for this, because sometimes community funding tends to be very focused on very, very specific projects with very, very specific outcomes, only to the exclusion of what it takes to put the resources, the core resources, to support the time and work that it takes to bring together a global community, where you'll have more delayed but very potentially large benefits from doing that. And our community is still in the development process, and we'll talk about that in a moment. But this is really, really important, and it's important to recognize that time. Engagement is also too strategic. It requires a lot of communication, a lot of reflection, and a lot of being very adaptive, especially when you're working with really diverse groups of audiences. We got asked again and again, who's your main audience? But really, we were speaking to multiple audiences and trying to bring them together at the same time. And also, we realized that it's really critical to focus on thought leadership and to engage our audiences in thought leadership, that there's a real hunger for this, actually. Limited team resources, we have to work with our networks. We had to get creative, and working more and more with our UCLAN network was important for us, especially the insights and the expertise that we got from the network. Understanding how global collaboratives work, we really reflected on how there's a big knowledge gap in that. Collaboratives, coalitions, there needs to be a lot more investment in that. But we found a lot of sustenance in working with and engaging our local grassroots initiatives, especially from within our networks. And that's been really key for us. And the last three are technical platform development is a huge skill. And it cannot be overstated how much work it takes to learn that skill, and how you can't just rely on your technical people, your developers. The team that's doing that needs to be really invested. We brought together groups of UCLAN members and other members who were not UCLAN, our initiatives, to participate in iterative testing of the site. And it was something very important that we all learned in the process, and we can now bring to the table going forward. Our communications have to be adaptable. We did a really great survey that I'm going to talk about in a second, but we also learned how to really showcase the work of others in all of our communications, including our newsletters, and to create ongoing resources. And then translation, we realized, is a budget item that tends to get underplayed and not enough attention in budgets. But translation, it can be very expensive, but we need it as much as possible for as many kinds of communications and as events, so that we're not limited to English-speaking audiences. So one of the things that came out of the survey, this GGRC global survey that I just mentioned, where we had participants, collaborators from 26 countries, including a lot of global South countries, participate, is that we need to facilitate engagement more, work on really outlining for our participants the immediate benefits of participating in our platform, that there's a hunger for communities of practice, which we'll talk about in a moment, in order to enhance leadership capacities and build project management skills. There's also that hunger to communicate across the world and have projects that maybe have similar goals in two different regions of the world talking to each other. And that we need to have a well-resourced and adaptive team to drive collaborative actions. And to talk just very briefly about a few of the lessons from managing a global team of volunteers, I'm now going to turn it over to Aditi Jha.
Thanks, Rose. Hi, everyone. It's so good to see all of you here listening to this wonderful experience that we had in putting together the GGRC. Rose, if you could go to the slide. I'm going to be talking about, the challenges of managing a global team. So the important word here is volunteers. We started out completely as a voluntary initiative. At the start of the, initiative, I was an environmental specialist with the World Bank. It was a pandemic situation. And this initiative really helped to bring a lot of us from different parts of the world with our, day jobs to kind of share this experience and really think about how we can use this very challenging time of COVID to, forward this concept of green recovery and have more traction in this time. And so obviously some of the challenges were that we were, we're volunteers, we were doing our day jobs and kind of putting in our time and effort as well to really brainstorm around this initiative. COVID was a difficult time that we were dealing with a lot of challenges related to COVID, and then thinking, what do we do beyond COVID? And obviously, because everything was online at that stage, the natural choice was we did start looking at how do we grow an online community that, continues to help people connect despite COVID. Also, all of the considerations around, you can't keep traveling, and it is a good platform to bring global initiatives together and visibility. And so we had challenges around, we knew we wanted to do a website, but we were all conservation professionals, and then really kind of trying to build out the whole website infrastructure, and a lot of us, also tried our hand. Like for example, I remember looking at buying. We discussed, like, someone bought the domain, and then someone figured out that, okay, after the domain, you actually have to design the website on a different platform. And so, we were grappling with all of that in the initial stages. Rose, if you could move to the next slide. And really, again, that's another area where, considering we were voluntary, the Samson grant really helped us, because it helped us get, Tiona on board. So it made that voluntary time much more efficiently used, much more organized, all of the coordination across time zones, bunch of lessons around how to manage our time better and be more effective. And so that was, we were able to dedicate funds to the website, to an intern, to communications, and we were able to then, by that point, we had a better understanding of, doing team meetings as like core leadership, larger teams. And I think then you saw a lot of momentum and a lot of the other achievements that the team managed through, the efficient use of time, really. Yeah, I'll hand back over to Rose, or I believe Noah. Yeah, Noah, I'll hand over to you.
I will jump in. Can we move? Yeah. So thanks, Aditi. I'm Lucia Norris. I'm from Ecuador. I'm from the cohort 2016-2017, and I now work for the Galapagos Conservation Trust. What a pleasure to be here with all of you today. I'm going to talk about the opportunities that we believe the Global Green Recovery Collaborative has created. Well, first of all, we have a growing community of project leaders and also of platform developers that, as Aditi was saying, we realized on the way that was so important to count on, who are connected to the heart of this initiative, to Global Green Recovery, and want to see this community thrive beyond their day jobs. So we have that, and we see that as such a strength and an opportunity for us. We also, beyond funding, we continue to convene, we continue to plan, we continue to create partnerships. We are also planning already on the next events that we will have this year. And also, oh, sorry, I did. And also, we are engaging with initiatives. And something interesting that is happening to us lately is that initiatives or project leaders are starting to approach us, which is something that we didn't have when we first started. So we are already on the minds of some people in different regions, and they are starting to tell us, can we be part? Can we have our initiative there? We also think that another important opportunity for us is to keep on engaging the UCLAN members. We hope the UCLAN members know that this is their platform as well. It's for all of us, is to launch the projects that we're all working on, because what we do is aligned to Global Green Recovery. So we also hope to keep on engaging further with the UCLAN members. We are also in a stage that we are exploring funding avenues to launch joint projects with other initiatives beyond GGRC. And we are also trying to increase our partnership and engagement. And Ravi started talking about the global communities of practice. Something that we have learned is that people and our members really appreciate having safe spaces where they can learn about topics that they are just starting to learn, that they need to have someone to ask some question, and they don't find that easily. So we're hoping to start creating this global community of practices and to create these safe spaces for project leaders around the world that want to learn more about the topics that relate to green recovery. And now we would love to share with you a video that we did when we launched the GGRC, and we hope that you enjoy it as much as we do.
Thank you, Lucia. And I'll just need one moment to open up that video. So thank you for bearing with us. And here we go. All right, so I'm going to share my screen once again. Make sure I have my sound shared. Great. So this was the launch video for our project. And I think that this really encompasses, or I think we all think as a team, this really encompasses what continues to really inspire us in our project. So I am going to go ahead and share this with our audience before we go to Q&A.
Hi, I'm Carolina Soto Vargas and I'm from Colombia.
I'm Janet Taylor, and I'm from South Africa.
I am Luciano Ristresco, and I am from Ecuador.
I am Ravi, and I come from Fiji.
My name is Rosalind Helfand, and I'm from Los Angeles, California.
Hi world, my name is Camille Pinel from Belize.
I'm Dana Delus Neman and I'm from Israel.
The Global Green Recovery Collaborative is an opportunity to bring people together to learn, work, and contribute towards creating a healthier, happier planet to live in.
The Global Green Recovery Collaborative is a place where people who want to make a difference can come together and take action.
The Global Green Recovery Collaborative is an online space for anyone who wants to learn and act on green recovery.
For me, green recovery is a way to go back to our roots and acknowledge the importance of cultural and biological diversity for a healthier planet. Es pensar en el buen vivir.
To me, green recovery is the capacity of humanity.
For me, green recovery means doing better.
I joined the Global Green Recovery Collaborative because I believe that now is the time to take action for our future.
I am motivated to be a part of this initiative because I want all countries, especially developing countries such as Belize, to have access to information on green recovery.
It will lead to fruitful collaborations and partnerships.
I believe in the importance of spaces that foster participation based on principles of inclusion and justice.
It has the potential to be a voice for people, especially marginalized communities.
Reimagine, recover,
Inspire together.
Join the collaborative.
Thank you. And I just want to give a shout out to our editor on the video was Ravi. So Ravi has many skills. So thank you, Ravi, for that great editing. And so with that, what we'd like to do is open this up for a interactive discussion and go into Q&A. So please feel free to jump in with questions. And just a reminder to all of our team members that that we would love for you as well to jump in with responses to the questions that come up. Thank you. Giving everyone a moment to think about your questions.
Rose, if I can quickly jump in until someone asks.
Yes.
No, just it was mentioned over the presentation, but also just to say a huge thank you to Teona, that our coordinator, who has been amazing with all of us and for the project. Thank you so much for all your work, your support, and yeah, that has been amazing. And also to our volunteers that are also very patient and wonderful with all of us, and are great as well, have lots of skills.
And while we're waiting for the questions, a big shout out to our referee, Pamela Abbott, who's here. When we were submitting our applications, we needed a referee who believed in us. And because of that faith, we are able to live our dreams of green recovery. Thank you so much, Pamela. We really appreciate it.
So
total pleasure. Thank you.
Oh, Pamela, would you like to say your question out loud as well?
Well, I just think it's such a broad project, such an important project, done brilliant achievements so far. What's next?
Thanks, Pamela. Ravi, I feel like it'd be great because you really championed our visioning process for the communities of practice. So I'd love to turn that question first over to you.
So it's a good question. What's next? Whenever we ask this question, we ask ourselves, why did we start this whole thing in the first place? And the main reason was that, we as conservation leadership alumni, we had some ideas, some tricks and tips on crisis leadership, what to do when we are in a situation like this. And we were also very aware that when the COVID-19 pandemic would ease, people would stop talking about green recovery. There will be new, fancier terms to replace it. So the fact that we have our website and the website is going to remain in itself is a sign that our impact is going to sustain. In terms of the next steps, what we are doing is we are trying to form more meaningful relationships with our initiatives. For example, right now with ICAD, who is here in the meeting, Erin said hi. We are trying to get a system where we send funding applications together. And not to take too much time, but just to give one example, we are working with ICAD, who is not a typical conservation initiative. So with our conservation background and ICAD's background in humanitarian and climate and displaced people, we might write funding proposals and try to promote certain elements of green recovery. And we want to do the same with our own partners and initiatives that we have. We also want to send individual applications to individual funds. We also have plans to remain volunteering, because we believe that volunteering also have intrinsic benefits, like the mentorship we receive from each other. And the fact that all of us, since 2020 until now, are still as motivated to continue, that in itself is a self-motivation for us. Everyone is still smiling, nobody's getting that tired. So I think that's our next step, to rub off our motivation on other people. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And I think I just really want to highlight from what Ravi said is that we're so focused on partnering. So whether it's partnering with all these initiatives that we're featuring on our platform to further work together, to further common objectives, whether it's partnering for events and that thought leadership or partnering to grow the community, that we really found that our greatest value is in facilitating partnership. And we're hoping to keep bringing that to UCLAN too, is to engage in more partnerships across UCLAN. And while Ravi mentioned volunteering, we also know that having a core support team, such as Teona, who's our project facilitator, will always be critical for us, because we are all, like globally, our team is also juggling full-time positions. I work for UN Women, for example, heading up their Feminist Action for Climate Justice Action Coalition, and we all have really demanding roles. I'd like to also emphasize for what's next, our growing commitment to thought leadership. And I feel that Teona, yes, is a part of that, but Lucia has really helped to champion that through imagining of programs that we've seen a huge interest in, such as our New Economies program. So, and we've really felt that that kind of thought leadership is important around this idea of a green recovery. So Lucia, I'd love for you to talk about more of your thoughts around engaging our community in the types of events that we're doing and emphasizing how they're not just events, this is thought leadership. So over to you, Lucia.
Thanks, Ross. So yeah, we really think now that you talk about the new economies concept, if we are going to have a green recovery, we need to start thinking about new economies, and we need to understand what that means for each of us, right? So, for example, on that regard, we had lots of attention from many members and people from many places of the world, and we saw that we need to start building capacity and support building the capacity and the knowledge of the different topics within new economies. So, for example, in that instance, we are hoping to have events that go deeper into that topic, but not just on that topic. We are also trying to see what are we all working on, and trying to bring some of those topics to the platforms. So, for example, I am an observer at the Global Plastics Treaty negotiations. So wait for a blog about that, wait for an event about that. But also is not just, that is an example because I think we're all doing very interesting stuff at the moment. So yeah, that's about the events. We would love to co-partner more events. So if you, we're looking for topics that are interesting for our members, that we can start co-partnering. We did that already once and it worked greatly. So yeah, we're looking to see that more regarding the events, regarding blog writing as well. Yeah, so yeah, I hope that responded, Ross.
Yeah, that was great. And also, I think it's important to emphasize that our initiatives, the organizations that we're partnering with, has been a very curated process, because a lot of the thinking that went in, so much thinking by the team went into discussions about the breadth and the scope of green recovery and how intersectional a topic it is, but also how do we curate amongst organizations that want to participate on our platform and really kind of be very thoughtful about what organizations are making what we consider to be very important strides towards green recovery, and what organizations may identify as green, but maybe not be pushing green recovery forward as much. And we had to have a lot of discussions around how to be inclusive, but also how to curate at the same time, and how to make those kinds of decisions as a team. And I know that a few of our team members were involved in and continue to be involved in these discussions around initiatives that we partner with. So those include, I know Janet has been very involved, Noah has been involved in those discussions. Evelyn, I think, also worked on our engagement of initiatives and kind of those discussions. So if those team members would like to jump in with any of your reflections on working with initiatives, I think that would be really fantastic.
Yeah,
and
I would like to say one thing. I also posted in the chat. Being part of a global collaborative and a global team also helped us partner not just with grassroots initiatives, but also with other collaboratives. So I put as an example the Stable Planet Alliance. We've been in touch with one of the writers of the climate scientist warning, and now they've also with the Merz Institute issued a behavioral crisis warning, which was also published in The Guardian. And we are working with Phoebe Bernard as well there to engage further. So this really helped boost our also professional effort globally and not just with local initiatives. So it's both the interactions of local to global, but also global, local to global. So this really helped us get into more networks as well.
Thank you, Noah. Janet, would you like to offer any reflections on recruiting initiatives and some of those conversations?
Oh, sorry. No, I think you've covered most of the things here. I don't know what else what else I can mention here. Yeah, it was a learning curve as well. It was a lot about communication and the sort of meeting up with and learning, about initiatives and about people that weren't generally or weren't necessary sort of things that we came across every day, or weren't in my field of expertise. And so it was great meeting and being part of the sort of building of initiatives as well.
Yes, lots of really important meetings, and I agree on that learning process. Let's open it back up for questions from the floor. And Ivani?
Hi, Ivani here. Actually, I'm very impressed with all the work. Camille is actually a colleague of mine. I'm from Belize. And my question is like, you know, we're about to graduate pretty soon, hopefully. So how do we get involved as, you know, the new students that are coming up and, you know, in this whole network? What sort of role can we play and how we can create more impact from the different areas that we're coming from?
Thank you. I think it'd be great if another one of our team members wanted to jump in on that, since I've been talking. Go for it, Lucia.
Should I? Well, lovely to meet you, Ivani. How great that you're here with us. You remind me about something. We are already 4 years in this project, and there were many times during those 4 years that many of us didn't have, for example, a job, and we were very devoted to GGRC. And just to mention that it was great how GGRC opened doors for us. So, well, Ravi can tell you his story, but I think we all have story that how this platform has built our skills, our confidence as well when we applied for jobs. So just to say that it is a great thing to do if you want to join our network, because I think it will be beneficial for you as well. And of course, immensely beneficial for the platform. So just, you know, contact us. We can share our details here or through Shelly. And yeah, we can have just a meeting, join the next time, and you can say where you want to add, what you want to be part of. It's very organic, you know, how we join, and what each of us does is based on our interests or our skills. That's how we kind of decide who's in charge of what. We rotate as well. It's not like you are with that all the time. Then sometimes we're like, this is a quarterly thing. So we can explain more. If you join to our next meeting, we can make sure that you have all the details, and good luck with graduation.
Yes. Just to add on and to be brief as well, while we get other questions, I was unemployed for more than 6 months. And in this time, I was so happy volunteering with GGRC for my own mental health. For example, I had work to do, and I was so passionate about conservation and environment. And I got mentorship from all the co-founders and our members. And I never felt the stress that you have when you are unemployed. And guess what? When I attended my interviews, the interviewers, I work for the UN now for the past 4 years. And when we talk about our experiences, they hear the same thing again and again and again. And you should see how their eyes lit when I started talking about GGRC and the fact that we're a global team from so many different parts of the world. And I got my first break into the UN, and it's 4 years now. And I've had like 3 positions with 3 different agencies. And now I'm still attending interviews and attending senior positions. And the fact that in the past 4 years, I've been leading a global team associated with the University of Cambridge and with the SCLA Fund, it gets a personal motivation. It gets you not only a good story, but also a good impact that you're making in the lives of people. That's the reason why I'm continuing with GGRC. It's really satisfying, and it's really good for your mental health. Thank you.
And I just want to add that this is a really ambitious project in terms of global community building. And that means that we are honestly constantly trying to adapt and figure out what works best for building that community, continuing to create connections, keeping our members communicating with each other. And so there's great opportunities to contribute to the thinking behind that and what we try out. And this was always pitched as a very adaptive proposal. So when we pitched this for the Sansom grant, we said we didn't want it to be a static platform. We wanted it to be an adaptable learning platform as we learned more and figured out more about the needs of our community and our team. And so it's really exciting to be part of that too. Do we have another question?
I will also jump in to add that in continuation to Lucia's answer to Ivani, I think we all, the periodical meetings that we're having and the connections between both UCLAN members, but also GGRC members, we get to know each other, and we feel free to contact each other if we have questions, even if we were not in the same cohorts, or if we weren't in Cambridge at the same time. So I got someone to ask me about a PhD in Germany, because I'm now doing a PhD in Germany. So we're very connected this way, and we feel free to criticize, but also help each other. So it's both through the website, but also through the meetings and being involved. So you can be involved in many different ways if you want to be in a specific team or a specific idea that you want to promote, or if there's something in the website that's not it's not the way you think it should be, then you can ask for changes and we can discuss it. And yes, we are very open to any joiners. You don't need to be on a constant basis. If you have more time, when you have less time, you can say, I'm going to pause for a few months. I need to finish my thesis. And that's okay. You come back after a few months and we're still here, and we're connecting and we're collaborating, and we're all also on a friendship individual level. So yeah.
Thanks, Noah. Other questions? Shelley.
Hi. Well, yeah, as you know, this project has a special place in my heart, and I love that it was a silver lining from quite a dark time as we were all locked away. And I think Ravi's touched a little bit on this with his jobs that he's managed to secure as a result of being able to weave in the GGRC story, and Noah's touched on it about the collaborations and the contacts that she'd made. But I asked this with the last one, and I wanted to ask it again. What were the kind of, because obviously you embarked on a journey, you'd never built websites before, you had no idea kind of what to expect really, and you came together from all across the globe to do that. What has been the kind of unexpected outcomes and impacts that you guys have experienced on this journey that you didn't put into the original grant proposal, but have been really cool?
One thing that I'm just going to throw in right now is that while we actually did cover in our original grant proposal that we envisioned having outside support that would receive small stipends from the grant to help support our team, I don't think we realized at the outset how incredibly valuable it would be to have a UCLan team bringing people who aren't UCLan in to support the work and engaging them, and how incredibly important that would be, and how much of a part of the learning process and outreach process that would become. So Teona coming on board as our project facilitator, who's not from UCLan, but is practically UCLan, except having gone through the program now, has her insights, her support has been incredible, as well as we have an intern from South Africa, Audrey, and there's a lot of cross mentorship going on too, and that's been something that we didn't expect. But we're learning from those who aren't UCLan, and then vice versa. I feel like we're providing opportunities to mentor those who aren't UCLan with some of our conservation leadership lessons. And that's been really valuable. And I just wanted to give Teona a really quick chance to see if you want to say anything about what's been really important about your experience collaborating with this team for the GGRC as our facilitator.
Hi, everybody. My name is Teona. I'm the project facilitator for over 2 years now, and I'm happy to be part of this presentation today. What I wanted to add that I think we are learning from doing on a day-to-day basis. We have learned so many things, about management of the global team, about different skills that maybe Ravi has some skills that I don't have, or Ross has some. So it has been really very valuable experience for me to be part of this team and learn new things on a day-to-day basis. So today I feel like I have been learning so much during these 2 years that I can say that, I can manage global team for like, you know, like this. So maybe I need to start applying for the, like, it's really, it has been so inspiring for me. And I'm really happy to be part of this team. And one thing also I wanted to mention that about learning from doing is that, for example, initially we thought that we would concentrate on our discussion boards, you know, it would generate a lot of discussion and people would get engaged. But no, our discussion boards actually didn't prove to engage a lot of people. But on the other side, we found that events, which we were not initially planning to concentrate on, generated a lot of interest. So that's why we were flexible. You know, when we saw that people in our community was interested in organizing events, we tried to concentrate on organizing the events, which proved to be super interesting, super engaging. So that's why in the future now we are thinking to organize more events and to engage our community. I think this is it shortly. We don't have.
Yes, thank you, Tiana.
Thank you. I also wanted to add on very quickly, one of the unintentional impacts that I saw personally was at a very personal level. When I left Cambridge in 2017, I was very sad and heartbroken. I was like, I lived my dream and now I'm going back home, and Fiji is so far away from Cambridge. And through GGRC, I was in Cambridge every single time we had a meeting. And I would see Lucia, I would see Noah, I would see Janet. We were all classmates. And guess what? We're still the same people. We still are we still interact with each other. We still crack jokes. We still know each other. And without the SCLA and GGRC, a lot of these interactions would have been lost. And so we want to really thank our SCLA for getting us together still. Thank you.
Thank you, Ravi. Would anyone else like to jump in, or do we have another question? I think we have 5 minutes left for our session.
I would just like to add, and it's adding because you've already mentioned a lot, but it's, yeah, just that how I never expected, you know, that it was going to be a challenge to work in different time zones, and how we have mastered this now. We know exactly the time frame when we can meet, the days that work, but this was a learning curve. We didn't know this at the start. And also I didn't expect that this was going to be a platform where we could all explore more our passions. So for example, I did a diplomat, like a study on new economies because of GGRC, because I started learning, and then I was like, I need to learn more, and also to feedback to the platform. So, and I think this has happened to many of us, and how we have built our capacity, and hopefully we're supporting and mentoring as well. Yeah, the volunteers. That's awesome, and they teach us so much as well. So yeah, many beautiful surprises, and also how we built our capacities to work in different time zones, and yeah, with all our busy schedules as well, and we keep going 4 years afterwards, right? Even a bit more than 4 years now.
Thank you, Lucia. Noah?
I would also like to say something short. Ravi brought me back to Cambridge, so sorry, I'm a bit emotional, but yeah, I just wanted to say also regarding to Shelley's question about what we didn't expect and the impacts. I think what we didn't expect also is how challenging it is to be able to coordinate between grassroots initiatives, because a lot of the major organizations and NGOs are working on a global level or through big NGOs in specific countries, and looking for these grassroots movements. So I brought some amazing initiative from Jerusalem that has evolved throughout the years also, and each one of us brought something really small, and I think for the grassroots, it's really hard to be engaged in a global team, but through us, we function as the coordinators of the initiative. So Ravi was conducting the contacts with ICAD, and Camille was conducting the contacts with the grassroots in Belize. So it was really us acting as coordinators, which which also is the next step to really come up with these communities of practice, so the initiatives will talk more with themselves. As the initiatives grow, then the cumulative or joint interest of some of the initiatives, we could do like a matchmaking also with the initiative. So I can tell the Jerusalem initiative, well, guys, you are looking to create this national park around Jerusalem, and maybe we'll get some Brazilian initiative that's working on the green belt of Rio, and we can kind of connect them together to have them talk to each other, not through us. So this is like the really big next step, and I think this will be the greatest challenge, but also the most fulfilling challenge, to get those local initiatives to talk on a more global level. And I think this is a great platform for this. So as we grow our initiatives, I think we'll be more acting as matchmakers, and through webinars, through the communities of practice, I think this will be a much bigger impact outcome that we're planning to make. So yeah.
Thank you, Noah. Thank you so much to our whole team. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to Shelley to wrap our session. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, all of you, for your contributions. It's an amazingly inspirational journey you've all been on. I love the closing remarks about all the things it brought to you, and all the things that it can do in the future, both for yourselves and for these organizations that you're working with. So I'd just like to close by saying thank you to all the GGRC. I really hope the project can continue to thrive, and I can see that it will. And I'm also looking forward to learning from you all on how we can implement some of your lessons into the wider community building for the UCLan. I want to say a huge thank you to Robert and Edie Sansom for investing in our alumni. We really appreciate it. And I finally want to say thanks to all of you for attending, and I will share the recording with you all once it's ready, so you can dip in and out as you wish. Okay, thank you, everyone, and good night. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you
so much for this.
Thank you so much, Shelley, for your coordination.
Yeah.
We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you. It's lovely to
Thanks
see
so
you
much.
all.
Lovely to see you. Bye.